This is what everyone's talking about.
Everything's on the table.
This is what champions come to take. This is what everyone came to see.
And the slam!
No do-overs. No second chances. No more Mr. Nice Guy. This is winner take all. The NBA Finals continue on ABC and the ESPN app.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
There are a few consistencies in life: death, taxes, the Ultimate Fighting Championship underpaying their fighters, and at least one South African team in the URC final. Let's get stuck in. Good evening and welcome back to Bit of an Animal, the South African Rugby Union podcast here on the Global Gainlines. I'm joined this week by only Bryce. How's it going, bro?
Going good. How's it, guys?
Yeah. Hello to all the viewers as well and listeners. Topic number one, Bryce. The Bulls go to Glasgow and they do what the Bulls do, what the Bulls do more consistently than any South African rugby team. They win in Europe. This time, by the skin of their teeth, 1 point, but a win is a win.
Yeah, a win is a win, eh? I think that first off, I know we were on the group, but I'm not. I think Sean was having a bit of a panic attack there because I think it wasn't going as expected. Even I was thinking the Bulls are not 21 points worse than Glasgow. It was such a weird first off because everything was going wrong. You know, it was the missed intercept by Pollard and then gets a yellow card, and then Glasgow gets 2 tries of that. And then they work off another beautiful try from the half line. And I thought, is this going to be like Jake White's Bulls that just go into their shells, start moaning? You see Willie red in the face, but no, that try just before halftime. I think that was really the turning point because I think that at that point the Bulls weathered the storm, and then when they came in the second half, that beautiful try working all the way from halfway line to the line out to scoring, I think that was the game. I think even though the scoreline was 21-15, I think the Bulls already won it there. I think Glasgow threw all their shots, and I must say, like, if I had to say there was one thing different about the Ackerman Bulls compared to the Jake Bulls, is that this Bulls got a lot of fight in them. Because we've seen this before this season when they went to Pau and won another comeback type win. So I don't know what Ackerman says to these players to play with such belief. I don't know if it's just lack of a relief of pressure, or is there some motivational words, or is it better fitness or what? But it's just nice to see a South African team with such fight. And not to say that the other South African teams don't have fight, but I'm just saying this team looks like they can come back from 21-5 down and win 22-21. I mean, holding Glasgow scoreless for 45 minutes, that is something I haven't seen from a South African team.
That's very impressive. I mean, like 5 to 4 weeks ago, we said on this podcast that even though the Stormers were the highest South African team on the log, the Bulls seemed to be the best South African team. Now, they had a bit of an indifferent start beginning of the season, the Bulls. With the new coaching staff, they seem to struggle with their defensive alignment, and they look attacking-wise great, but defensively a bit frail. Ackerman then rebooted his coaching staff mid-season. It's weird that he didn't insist when he took over to bring his own people in, just so like the whole players could get a fresh start. I understand maybe you don't change the physio or the doctor or that type of thing, but if you can change all the assistant coaches so that everybody starts on a fresh beginning, then it might give you a better chance. But maybe Ackerman was like, hey, look, let me come in for a couple of months and assess everything as Jake left it, and see what I feel needs changing and what I don't need changing. And yeah, their defensive has showed up a little now. I mean, shout out to Stedman Khan's like man of the match performance off the bench, a guy who's unheralded. Like I said on the UFC Rewind, they have a lot of players who don't necessarily get a lot of game time, and hopefully they'll play maybe a bit more in this under 23 tournament, which allows for six over 23 players. Um, and then they step up Hans, Circle Peterson, Devin Williams, just to name a few. Even Strevino Jacobs, who actually started this game, he's not somebody who plays consistently per se, so maybe he'll get a bit more. Another key moment was Curtly Arendse tackling the Glasgow player into touch. That was quite good. And then obviously Kyle Steyn, even in a losing effort, Johannesburg-born Kyle Steyn, former Griquas captain, now Welsh legend. He had a solid game as well. So people were writing Glasgow off because they had a poor tour of South Africa, but that's not the real Glasgow. And they were just doing damage control of that because they had a lot of injuries and they were touring sort of below strength, and they were just trying to do the best they could and then get home and bank all the points. So yeah, Bulls make the fourth final in their history. Hopefully they'll actually win this one. They get a bit of a week off now, so it's not immediately next week. Interestingly enough, it's a Friday night final. Uh, And then obviously then the next day we'll have Springboks versus Barbarians, and then Springbok versus Zimbabwe. I know the Springbok versus Barbarians game kicks off in Gqeberha at 3 o'clock. I'm still to find out if the Zimbabwe game is a curtain raiser or it's going to be afterwards. I hope it's before the game. People don't tend to stick around after the main event. I mean I saw that in the Baby Box series in Cape Town, because the last game, for some reason, they booked the Baby Bock game ahead of Fiji versus Chile, and then like barely anybody stuck around, including myself, because we went to go hike because we were in Stellenbosch at Polros. So Bryce, that's the good news. That's the good news. Now we kind of got to go to the bad news. Unfortunately, the Stormers season comes to an end in a fighting display in Dublin and Leinster. Barely anybody there, by the way. Whew. I'm told that the people in the immediate area in Dublin are quite wealthy, but they don't seem to show up for the rugby. Although there was a hurling event that in the same city at the same time that got 46,000 people. Shout out to Kalon. If you follow Kalon Scully on Instagram, our colleague and very good journalist as well. Uh, he'll be doing a lot of FIFA World Cup coverage on RTE. So congrats to him. But yeah, Bryce, that's the end of your season, but it could have gone further if not for the indiscipline.
Yeah. And to be honest, I actually wasn't too disappointed in this performance. I thought this was one of our best performances of the season. I thought we really constrained Leinster. I think watching Leinster attack like that was almost like watching John Plumtree Sharks attacking Zebra. It's just it was so beautiful to see Leinster. It's just so
Mandatory Sharks jab. One every podcast.
we have to do every
You
podcast.
know that Sharks team that did the double over the Stormers. But anyway,
Yeah. So So when you see Leinster just kicking the ball just because they have no other options, it must be really encouraging for Norman Laker and the coaching staff and even the forwards coach. I mean, they really took that international lustro to the cleaners at times. So I was massively impressed. And one guy I think is now this is probably the reason why he's now in the Springbok camp. Imad Khan. He's I have been critical of his passing and sometimes his work around the ruck, but his kicking and his tackling and his work rate, it's just all you need from a box scrum off, and he really showed us some good stuff there. I think there was one tackle in the first half where he made a try saving tackle, and had he not made that tackle, Leinster might have gone 20-0, 23 up or something like that. So that was really encouraging. Of course, I think towards the 65th minute, I think the Stormers were really. I think had there not been that decapitation, we we might have. I think we might have gotten another penalty there because I think Leinster were starting to run out of ideas. They were starting to get tired, and I think the Stormers scrum was starting to get some sort of ascendancy over there, but it's not to be. I mean,
Yeah, that was the frustration for me because you were in the game, and then Ron Ackerman, who I have given due praise to this season because coming over from England, played well the beginning of the season, and then got injured for quite some time. But like when that happened, my the the Cape Town phrase is your plak is gesak. I was like, why did you do that, dude? We're still in it. And then obviously, even when Zas got that, because I mean Pollard got a similar yellow card in the Bulls game. Like you put your arm out. We were slightly disappointed, but then the Stormers sort of rode the Zas yellow card. But then when when Johan Ackerman, not to be confused with his dad, Johan Ackerman, Bulls coach, when he got that sending off, and we all knew it was gonna go straight dead. Um, and shout out to Dobson for like just being forthright in the post-match press conference saying like that was just ridiculous. There's no debate about that whatsoever. Um, and then the weird thing is that Stormers actually went down to 13 towards the end of the game, and they were still in it. They weren't in it, but they were still like holding their own. And then that made you think like, what if they were just still 15-15? So yeah, but Imad Khan, very fast player. I think the weird thing about Imad Khan is that he was a blue chip prospect coming out of the baby box team, but because Hashim Peed sort of overshadowed him the next year, people just forgot about him. And then all I saw on the message boards was like, why? Because Hashim Peed grew up in Bukap. Why didn't they keep Hashim Peed? But you can't keep Hashim Peed, Imad Khan, Assad Moss, and Ezekiel Ngubeni. Like all those guys are really, really good. You gotta move them around. For the same example, at some point, the Stormers can't exactly keep such Feinberg and Gomez Zulu, Rudy Matea, Yakin Ahmed, and Kyle Smith. Uh, uh, I wouldn't say get rid of any of them. I'd say like allow one of them to go somewhere where they're more likely to get some game time. I would even encourage them to, like Louis Kuhn, who left the 20-year-old fly-off who left the Bulls to go sign a full-time, not a loan contract, a full-time contract at the Bulls. Sorry, at Griquas, just for the idea of, yeah, I'll get more game time, and maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, I can then move on to a different stage of my career. Like then, because he said the Griquas coach is very forthright about the fact that we don't think we're going to keep these players for 8, 9 years. We understand where we fall within the South African rugby system. So, but Imad Khan's such a fast player, and then somehow um, credit to Leinster fullback. I forget his name now, but like as fast as Imad Khan is, like you're kidding. Like, how are you that fast?
mm,
So like I thought he was away there. I would have thought O'Brien would catch him, but you kidding very well. So Leinster, solid team. What are we thinking, Bryce? It's in 2 weeks' time. It's on a Friday night.
mm.
What are the Bulls' chances?
I think if the Bulls had to watch that game and knowing how they played against the Stormers, I think they will be. I wouldn't say like confident, but I think they would be a bit more content. They'd be like, okay, we've seen Leinster throw everything they can. If we bring our loose trio and we have this informed Papier marshalling our forwards, I think it's under pressure here because I think what Stormers didn't do, unfortunately, and they did a very, very, very little, was actually put pressure test at Leinster's defense. And when they did, I think in the first half, Leinster had very little answer when Stormers was starting to throw bodies at that defense line. So I could imagine like Hanekom and Aldrich Lowe and Van Staden and Kobus Wiest and all these guys just running. I think they can break Leinster finally because I don't think Leinster is as potent as they were last year. I think they don't have because I think Geordie Barrett did cover up a lot of the attacking flaws that they do have now. So I back the Bull. I think Ackerman's going to do it right, and I do feel for Jake because I mean this is now that now a year after and now Ackerman wins with 1 year. It's going to feel so like it's going to feel like when Peter de Villiers won the Tri Nations and the Lions after Jake's World Cup. It's just going to put salt in the wounds, unfortunately.
Hmm. Yeah, I give the Bulls a shot. It's going to be an uphill battle, but it would be awesome if the Bulls could finally win one and weirdly away from home because they had a shot in Cape Town, they lost to you guys. They had a shot in Pretoria, and then they somehow lost to Glasgow, where they were like huge favorites. So yeah, and then they lost last year. Last year they lost in such a deflating manner. I absolutely don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll put up way more of a fight. I think they have the cohesion. They've always had a very good team in terms of depth, and they very wealthy owners like invested in their team more holistically as opposed to like imbalanced in the way the Sharks coaching staff did or owners did. So that was always going to be to the Bulls' advantage. We now move on to topic number three, the more recent Springbok team announcement for the two match series in Gqeberha, Springboks versus, as mentioned earlier, Springboks versus Barbarians, and then South African A versus the Zimbabwe national team. I'll bring that up on the screen now. We're just going to ask Bryce to just quickly reboot his mic because it sometimes sounds like you're underwater, Bryce.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
So while Bryce does that, we'll look at the Springbok squad. Two new players have been added more recently in the forwards. Former Stormer, former VP, former Lions, and then for a brief period, 1 season, former Shark Carlo Sadi. Interestingly enough, Stormers loaned him to the Lions. Then when he wanted to come back, my understanding was that they didn't have the budget to keep him, and then he went to the Sharks, and then moved on to Bordeaux. He was only at the Shark for 1 season. Pepsi Buthelezi. It's always fun to watch Pepsi Buthelezi play overseas, by the way, because the comms keep getting his name wrong. They pronounce it Buthelezi. It's a bit of a weird way to do it. But yeah, very good playing at open side and number 8. So he's been added to the broader squad. Bryce, there's a lot of baby box in the mix here, considering that the Junior World Cup or like blue chip baby box anyway, like the more high profile baby box are in the mix. With obviously no Bulls players, so this is Sharks, Lions, Stormers, and then some blue chip baby box players. Yeah, I am encouraged by this. And yeah, it's a nice mix of a youth and experience. Great to see Mani Lebok back. I'm eager to see him play. Vuse Moyo, I hope he gets a shot against Zimbabwe. It'll be interesting to see how much some of these blue chip baby box players play. Hashim Peed, no longer eligible to play for the baby box, but very much a high profile player. Yeah, very much looking forward to this game. Bryce, this is the start of our season. In total, with this Barbarians game, it will be 12 matches this Springbok season.
Mm.
However, that does not include the final match of the Nation Series, which will then make it 13. It just that's not on the schedule right now because we don't know who our opponent will be until all the round robins of the Nation Series rounded off. Interestingly enough, after this game, there'll be a 2-week break, and then we take on England at Ellis Park, and hopefully they'll actually fill out Ellis Park.
Yeah, I mean, this is I hope that Rassie doesn't play like any of the current under 20s like Marcus Muller or Juan Hillermeer or any of these guys. I hope they're just there for like to just experience training and the Springbok culture. But I think there are a couple of guys I would like to see get a game. I think someone like Paul de Villiers or Batu Klikani, these guys. I think Paul de Villiers will probably replace Kwaha this season, but guy like Batu Klikani, he for me fits like the Peter Steph du Toit mold. He looks like another Peter Steph du Toit generational player. So, and also it's interesting to see Emmanuel Chituka there. I'm interested to see if he's going to playing in the Barbarians or the SAA game. So, yeah, actually, it will be interesting to see who gets SAA and who gets Barbarian, because I think the SAA team is going to be more, should I say, like fringe. Like these are players like back in 2022 when we played those games against Munster and Bristol. I think that's what the SAA game is going to be. Maybe one or two, three unicorns in there that might make a make the Bok team. But yeah, I'm interested to see how that Barbarians team, because if for example if Paul de Villiers is in the Barbarians team, it will be a signal that to say, okay, he's seen as a serious replacement for Kwaha. And yeah, I'm interested to see if those baby Bok players actually come back with something new from the camp. Because I mean, imagine you, Yakin, training with Mani Lebok, and maybe later on, and okay, we probably won't be training with Andre Pollard, but even just being in the same training as Mani Lebok will just be a good experience for him. So yeah, I'm excited. One guy I'm actually surprised to see is Nico Steyn there, because I would never have expected him to be even in the squad, but I mean, yeah, he is. So obviously he's been impressing Rassie and the coaching staff.
Interestingly, Bryce, is there any indication, because you're a Storm supporter, is there any
Mm.
indication that Andre Hofente is injured because he's not in this team? His understudy, JJ Kotze, is, however, in the team.
Oh no, he's next to Liam van Wyk there in the list, so he has made it
Oh,
in.
there we go. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I think
They should
Rassie has
really
rated
schedule
him.
this. Yeah.
Rassie's
Interesting.
been
Yeah.
there for a while, yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see, because I think it's interesting to see that Bongi is not there. So
Mm,
unless he's injured, I'm not. I don't keep up with that at the moment. But
yeah. Well, he didn't play the last few games, so he might well be. I'm not entirely sure. There was almost like rumblings as to he wasn't injured, but they were giving other people a chance. Um, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Both Chatuka's brothers in the mix. Zachary Porthen's likely to get a bit more game time. Um, Interestingly enough, the hooker listed as Bulls here, he'll be headed to the Sharks. Also, and obviously, Sipa Maashe. Yeah. Sipa Maashe, we definitely want to see a bit more of him because he's definitely a breakthrough player of the URC from a South African perspective. I was a bit confused as to why Andre Hofinte wasn't in, but when they announced the team sort of like mixed up, it's, as opposed to sort of in their categories, can throw you off. Oh, the thing I wanted to mention was is watching Baby Box at Paul Roos was interesting to see them implement a three playmaker strategy with Vusi Moya starting, Yakin Ahmed at 12, and then Luan Hillermeer was also in the mix here. Listed as Sharks, by the way, but headed to the Bulls.
mm,
Um, at fullback. So we all three of them interchange that at first receiver, and we know that the system within the under 20 SA schools, junior Springboks, and senior Springboks is very aligned. That's why when Chunu got pulled back into the squad last season, even though he wasn't in the best of form for the Sharks at the time, because he was playing at the Sharks. Questions were asked of Rassie Erasmus, and he was like, "No, we need him in the team because he understands our system, our calls, our structures, and stuff like that." So often, I've said this on the URC one. There's nuance to people being called up. Like you said, like it's a surprise to see Nico Steyn in the mix because this coaching staff has so much credit in the bank, winning 2 World Cups on the bounce and a lot of games in between, including Rugby Championship. It it boils down to us having opinions and them making decisions. So I will always like we don't not critique the SA national team here, but we do it in the same way we do every other coaching staff in a good faith manner. Um, last final, shall I say, um, topic for this evening, Bryce. Tony Brown is departing us after the World Cup. Not a surprise to me. I figured he might shuffle off. Interestingly, that it got announced so far ahead of time, but I think that's actually a good thing, so that there's no confusion and it's not a topic of discussion constantly between now and the World Cup. It's going to be sad to see him go. I would have liked him to stuck around. I know early in the season when the Stormers backline was misfiring, and I asked on social media, who would you like the Stormers to get as a backline coach? Everybody said Tony Brown, and it's wishful thinking. But yeah, your thoughts on this announcement?
It's pretty much expected. I don't think Tony was going to stay here for 8 years or however many 2 World Cup cycles. I think it was always going to be a one World Cup cycle, and then eventually New Zealand was going to give him whatever he probably wants. It's good. It will be interesting to see how that coaching dynamic does work when he goes back, because I know he's been saying a lot that he wants to work with Jamie Joseph, but now it's Dave Rennie there. And they actually have an attack coach already in Mike Blair. So I don't know, does Mike Blair make way, or does Tony becomes a different role? I don't know how that works with the New Zealand coaches there, but this is good for New Zealand. I think they need some of this IP back. I think New Zealand has been crying out for another Wayne Smith type genius to come back, and this is almost like, I'm not saying he's the level of Wayne Smith, but I'm saying it's like he has that influence over a team. Like he can transform Japan, or he can transform a Springbok attack that's scoring like 30, 40 points a game. So it'll be interesting to see who the Springboks actually recruit as the attack coach. Because I know Felix was the attack coach in 2023, but I hope they go bold and get. I don't know if Franco Smith will return as attack coach, or if he'll bring someone like. Actually, now that I think about it, it's hard to think of attack coaches in South Africa that they could bring other than Franco Smith. So I'm not sure who they're
But
gonna.
knowing the Springbok coaching staff, we don't have to restrict ourselves to just South Africa. I like the fact that the coaching staff is very diverse. It's nice to have South Africans at the top of the ticket. Lots of I always thought of Rassie as very on the vanguard of new ideas and being willing to try things. And then Swandile Stick has come a long way. He's been in the system for a very long time. Is somebody who doesn't necessarily get the flowers that he should. Dion Davids he's done so much in SA rugby, including at the Southern Kings, and now at the Springbok setup. Yeah, and the fact that they bring in sort of different voices and different opinions, and they try to get initially, before getting the South African Jaco Paper ref consultant, they try to get a Welsh ref consultant, that type of thing. So they're eager to like mix the South African identity with new ideas. So the players also don't like tune out the same voices and the same accents and stuff like that. Tony Brown did make it very clear that he was actually like the search for a new New Zealand coach before they signed Scott Razor Robertson started quite some time ago, before the last World Cup wrapped off, and Tony Brown was in the mix, and he was disappointed not to have been selected. And then the opportunity came up to work with the Springboks. So it's great to have had him for 4 years within the system, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see like how things pan out after the World Cup. And look, these are problems most national teams wish they had. So we should acknowledge that we're fortunate with respect to that. On that note, that brings us to the end of the program from myself and Bryce. Until next week, Thursday, when we have a special episode before the Odyssey final in Rasi, we trust.